These last few days have been very productive. Very, very productive. So I joined a specific group on Discord. They share art and socials and, hang out and things like that. So I joined that, and I did that yesterday. So that was fun. I even did some drawing streaming to sort of introduce myself. And yeah, what are some other things? So I joined that. I did some regular streaming on the one I had joined previously in that group. Both of them I was drawing that short comic, which has made a lot of good progress. I auditioned for a part 2 of the remote job that I've been working on recently. I went for part 2 and I managed to get it. I managed to get it so I can start working that additional part, make a little more money. I'm going to start that tomorrow, but prepare for it today. And today is the day when I've set aside time to record my old art video. Part 2. Yeah, lots of progress. And, yeah. It's funny. Well, no, I'm not going to talk about that at the moment. What I'm going to talk about instead is Killua. Oh, I love him. He's in a crate right now with a heating pad under him, keeping him warm. Well, after we took him to the pet hospital, all of a sudden his condition seemed to just nosedive all of a sudden. Which is really odd. I don't know why that happened exactly, but he was going, and I've got the journals as proof. He was going steady. Like, even though, he wasn't perfect, even though there was a steadiness to it. He had an appetite. He was eating. His weight had stabilized. Yet for some reason, about a little bit after his visit now, all of a sudden his condition has just, boom, just all of a sudden. Yesterday night, I found him like laid over on the floor. He wasn't dead, thankfully. He was not dead. And so I checked on him. I made sure he was alive, and he got up afterwards and started taking a nap. It looks like he was just a bit exhausted. So he sort of like flopped over, and I got scared for a second. But I checked on him. He got back up. Right now, he's just been peacefully napping. But yeah, just sharp drop. I have no idea why or what happened. Not even with Gon was there. Like, Gon's condition was a lot faster. It went quick, but it still had a rate to it. It was a quick rate, but it was consistent. As he, progressed through, the decline, there was a consistency to it. But with Killua, there's just a sudden drop, like real fast, like unlike anything, and it all happened right after he went to the pet hospital. Just like immediate decline. Now, I'm not going to make any assumptions or anything, but all I do know is that right after the hospital visit is when that happened. Maybe it's stress, maybe it was, it could have been stress or something like that. I don't know. But it was sudden. It was a quick thing. And I don't know why exactly something like that would happen. Yeah. But I'm going to keep an eye on him and make sure that he's, nice and comfy, and hopefully he gets his appetite back And the kidney food can help with balancing out whatever's going on and getting him back to that stable level he was at before the hospital visit. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, just let him rest right now. This happened the last time too. After I took him to the pet hospital visit, he was at least like comfy and eating, and then a hospital visit, and then all of a sudden it was like he was gonna die. And then, he managed to balance out. So I don't know what's going on there. Strange. Strange. Yeah. But either way, yeah. So I'll keep checking on him and making sure he's okay. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, just so taking care of Killua, and then also taking care of that art community thing, working on introducing myself and things like that. I'll absolutely admit, that part of me is just hoping that the amount of socialization will help with, getting commissions or something like that. Be able to start making money off of, doing some artwork, doing some art pieces. I'm very fortunate that I like doing art for other people. It means that, I'll be doing what I like to be doing while also getting paid for it. I know some people, like, they mostly want to do, like, more personal projects, art for themselves, and they derive, and then they do then they kind of, like, in quotes, kind of lose their way, or get out of touch with why they did art in the first place by doing all this side stuff, higher. But for me, like, as of right now, that's kind of where I thrive, I do very good with that kind of stuff, trying to realize other characters, but it's because I don't really have a profound sense of self when it comes to art at the moment, which I have been working on. I've been trying to take care of. And I think I've been improving at it. I've been improving at trying to get that sense down. But another thing is that it certainly doesn't feel good to miss out on a journal. One is because, like, sometimes I'll have ideas and I'll be like, oh, I want to record that, but then I'll be like, oh no, I'm busy, or I gotta go do this and that. And then I end up forgetting those ideas. Like right now, as I'm recording this journal, I'm trying to remember some of the ideas that I had. I should have written them down, but I didn't write them down because I thought I was going to end up recording yesterday, and then I ended up getting, like, super duper busy, and then by the time I was done, it was early in the morning. So I was like, well, I can make up for that myself by recording early, posting early. I want to do that. I really want to do that because these journals are very helpful for releasing that kind of pressure and helping me be able to, move on with certain things. But yeah. So I figure I should be honest about that. Yeah, I really do want to record these. It's one of those things where at the end of the day I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, did I record one? And then I'm just like, oh no, I didn't. I won't lie though, and maybe this will help me get more consistent with it in recent. I won't lie, I make it recently, especially, I've been making it much bigger in my head than it needs to be, and making them sort of like oh, it's a whole task, it's a whole chore, that kind of thing. Sort of mixing it up with all the other stuff that I do, and it becomes like now I gotta record a journal sometimes. Sometimes it becomes like that. And I gotta remind myself, like, like, oh, no, remember, this is only like a 5 minute, this is like only takes like a second to go do. So go do it really quick, draw a quick thumbnail, upload it. That's all you gotta do. Remember, low pressure. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. So, I don't know, maybe all the pressure is from wanting to do the old art thing, But again, that's where I'm making it a bigger thing in my mind than it needs to be. You see, part of it is like part of it, and I'll be completely honest with this. Part of it is that when I record journals, I'm just here, speaking to myself. Well, I mean, if you know this channel at this point in these videos, you know that I have no one else to really talk to. Even that's another thing. Even yesterday with when I did that streaming, like no one joined in. I was just streaming to myself completely alone the entire time. No one to speak to or anything. No engagement or interaction with anyone. If someone popped in, they were on mute or something like that, but for only like a few minutes and they leave. And then I would just be there by myself, just hoping someone would pop in. And, but, no one did. So just by myself. But at least I had, music and videos playing in the background. But the thing about, doing journals, the thing about doing, like recording my old art stuff is that, I'm alone the whole time while it's happening. There's no one to talk to. There's no, I know it might seem kind of ironic because, I'm talking into the phone to talk to someone, but it's that during that time, right? Like right now, I'm just talking to myself. Usually I supplement the sort of unending quiet and isolation that I'm in by playing YouTube in the background, playing some music in the background, or something like that. Usually YouTube, people talking, to sort of simulate having that interaction. But while I'm here doing these journals, well, I can't do that. I can't play, so my body starts to feel that sort of sadness, that sort of negativity of loneliness, I guess you could say. That sort of feeling of no one else being around, me just sort of talking to myself. So it's just like when I go to record, I think that bit of hesitation is just knowing that for a solid 30 minutes or however long I talk, it's just going to be me and no one else. Not saying that there's no point in my day where I don't have YouTube videos playing in the background but it's more so my choice to be. But I have noticed that it does affect me when there are moments where outside of my control, it's sort of like a necessary having to sort of soak into the isolation again. If you know what I mean. I don't know. It probably makes sense. But those brief moments where it's here's an analogy. It's like a brief moment where you have to go like naked, if that makes sense. So the rest of your day you get to wear like a jacket or something to keep you warm, and then for a few minutes a day or 30 minutes or however long, there's a part where in order to do it you have to completely exposed to the elements. And that's sort of what it's like doing these sometimes, where it's like, you know, I don't hear someone else. There's not the comfort of hearing someone else speaking, hearing someone else talking. Like when I'm at my job, I don't need to put on music or talking or anything like that, because I work in a place where there's people having all kinds of conversations. Life is happening. But when I'm home, if I don't do that, it's just silence. And, for me, I have no issue being alone with my thoughts. It doesn't matter to me whether something is playing in the background or not. I'm always alone with my thoughts. I'm used to that. I'm not using it to distract myself. I'm just using it to give myself that sort of human, like, there are people around, because I don't really have that. For me, there are no people around. Well, there are people in the form of my cats, but they're not exactly holding conversations or things like that. In terms of human interaction, my bucket is pretty much nil, except when I go into work. And then, come back, and then it's just complete silence. No one's here. Which, as I said, I don't have a problem with silence. There are plenty of hours during the day where it is quiet. I need to focus more so, things like that. But during the friendliest parts of my day, they're the friendliest parts because, I've got someone familiar playing in the background or something like that to sort of simulate that feeling. But, I'm not always going to be able to have that. So I'm getting myself over that hump, that sort of those sort of moments where I have to quickly deprive myself of having someone speak in the background, or trying to bring some feeling of togetherness into the situation. Yeah, I like it when there's silence, when I can sort of choose. Whereas journals, they sort of happen at those times when I'm feeling super lonely, But I've kind of got to balance it, because I know that there's a lot of worth to creating this output. See, that's the difference, right? There's trying to create that sense of human interaction through input, playing videos, taking that all in. But then I gotta remember, well, there's also worth in trying to have interaction with output, with when I think about the other one, well, you're just gonna be lonely the whole time. You're not putting anything out there, you're not talking to anyone, or at least making the attempt to talk to anyone. You're just kind of sitting there listening to other people speak. It feels comfy, but at the end of the day, you're still just going to be by yourself. Whereas this, yeah, it's uncomfortable to have those moments where it's just ambience and silence and things like that during a time when you want there to be those friendly voices, those friendly sounds keeping you company. But there's a worth to it in the long run, to doing this. And not see, part of me, I guess you could say, part of my habit is trying to isolate myself again, just back into comfort. And it's not like I have to be rid of the one, but part of me is trying to cut myself off and sink completely back into that just little security blanket. Just huddle up, be alone again. with people I don't even know, can't even interact with. It's a whole thing. But yeah. So that's my journal for the morning today. And I'll have something for later, I bet. Yeah. So, see you then.